Hey, Happy New Year. Feliz Año Nuevo. Let me know if y'all can hear me okay, because I'm trying something different with the mic situation, and I don't know if it's doing what it's supposed to do or not. So let me know in the comments. Hopefully, your new year 2023 is going pretty well. Here we are on the fourth day of this new year. Um, Nobody's saying yes, they can hear me. No, they can't. Okay. All right. There we go. All right. Okay. If these start to act up, I do have my regular mic handy and I can switch back. Okay. It seems to have been a delay. I can see the comments now. I can see y'all coming in. Great, fabulous. Uh, how's 2023 treating you? Hopefully, pretty well. Yeah. Um, I can't say that my 2023 has been all that eventful. I if anything, time is passing almost faster for me. I'm like, wow, today's already Wednesday. Also, I looked up today and at one point it was 8 a.m. and then it was 4 p.m. And I was like, what happened? Where'd the day go? So I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. Say, so far, so good. Hey, I don't think we can ask for any more than that. All right. I'm trying to think if there was something else I need. Um, I don't know. It's not coming to me. And when it does come to me, remember it. Um, tonight, we are going to be talking about easy ways that you can, like take control of your finances for those of you that have been watching this channel or any of the content that I create. You know, there are two things that are very important to me. One of them is helping Black women live the life that they want, whatever that happens to look like. And two is living a life of ease and doing as little as possible. And it is possible to be on top of your money, but not make life difficult. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. Uh, and if you are new here today, live, welcome. Glad you came to hang out with us. If you are watching this on the replay, welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, Before we jump into the topic tonight, I'll introduce myself in case there are new folks here. My name is Adelia Borishade. Although most of the internet knows me as Picky Girl Travels the World, I think that name is pretty self-explanatory. I'm a financial educator, a expat coach, solo travel expert. I help Black women gain the financial confidence they need so that they can do whatever it is that they want to do, whatever their heart desires, including traveling the world, moving abroad. I am also the founder of Picky Girls Travel Solo, which is a Facebook group for Black women and femmes, solo travelers of all levels of expertise and experience. Because, like I said before, I'm all about creating safe spaces where Black women can, learn what they need to learn so they can live the life they want. So, if you are into travel, you want to know more about living outside the US. I've been doing that for 6 years, 6.5 years maybe at this point. You want to know more about like getting your finances to such a place that you can do all those things, then this is the channel for you. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, the whole rigmarole. I see everybody is in the chat saying hello, speaking to each other, catching up. I love that. I do. I'm trying to organize my screen so I can see everything. Just- Okay, catching up in the chat. I'm already behind, just making sure I missed nothing. All right. All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about simple things that you can do to master your money, easy things. Um, I think my number one tip, trick, whatever you want to call it, would be to automate your finances. Um, Probably one of the number one things, probably the number one thing that allowed me to be in such a financial position that I could stop, I could leave my career of 23 some odd years and in effect retire in my we'll say mid 40s is because I paid myself first. That meant that my savings and investing priorities came first before bills got paid or anything like that. And automating my finances was key in being able to do that. And when I say automate, I'm talking about kind of taking you out of the equation. What typically happens is that we get paid, we think about the stuff we want to buy, we think about the bills we got to pay, we're doing all of that, and then it's usually okay, well, I'll save from what's left over. And more often than not, there's not a whole lot left over, or not as much left over as we need to achieve the things we want. And so I'm talking about, setting up automatic transfers to your savings, setting up automatic transfers to your investment accounts. I'm talking about putting your bills on auto pay so that all of those things are just happening and you don't have to be the person constantly on top of it trying to make things happen. And so, yes, I'm telling you, this is probably the thing that changed everything for me because a lot of times, a lot of times we, if it's on us to do, we got 50 million other things to do. So we often forget about it. Like, oh, I was supposed to put this money to the side for, next month's car note or whatever. So automating it, getting that thing. How many, I know this has happened to me more times than I care to admit when there is a credit card payment due or some other kind of payment and you're making those payments manually versus now, hear me out. I know it can be a little daunting to like put your credit cards on auto because you're like, well, what if I don't have as much in my bank account as to cover the bill? That you should, but that's a conversation for another night. But even something as simple as setting, let's say, credit cards up to auto pay the minimum pay. That way, no matter what, you won't get hit with a late fee uh, and, any of that. So at least the minimum will be paid. Um, so, yeah, automation made the difference. And here's the other thing. Automation takes you out of it, so you don't have to depend on trying to remember everything all the time. It also helps with lifestyle. As we go throughout our career, we start to make a little bit more money, we start to spend a little bit more money, and maybe some of those savings goals kind of fall by the wayside because it's like, oh, but now I can afford, these. I was going to name a brand of fancy shoes, and then I realized. Sorry about that, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Can y'all hear me? Okay. technical problems. I was trying to be fancy with my little wireless, and they both fell out at the same time. So that defeated the purpose. So yeah, I was gonna try and think of a you might be right. I was trying to think of the name of some expensive pair of shoes, and then I realized, but we start to think of new ways to spend the money, and some of those other things fall away. So if you've automation in set up and in place, um, those savings goals can continue to be met, and you are paying yourself first before you go and buy this expensive shoes that you can now afford because you've got a raise, so on and so forth. Even your butt. Um, hey Christina, you? I'm trying in the comments. Saving my savings online, savings account change for me. Yes. Idea and because again, you know, especially if you're trying to meet a savings goal, you're the weak link there. Depending on yourself to one, remember to actually, go ahead and put that money there. This removes and out of sight, out of mind, set it in. Once those things are set up, you don't really have to worry about it. Uh, that's right. You don't have to worry about making my say if y'all know I'm a beast. And set it and forget it is all about me. Might be the end. Might I'm chopping. It's probably the why because I did get an indicator. I think it's the earbud. Y'all telling me I'm choppy. I don't think it's the earbud. I don't know where it is. And I manually switch back to the microphone. So let's see. Sounds robotic. Hmm. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. This is what I get for trying to be fancy with the sound. Okay. Apologize for that. Hold on. Let me check one more set. Just, oh, I see what the problem is.
All right. We should be good to go. Audio should be a lot better now. That other ear, it's on my earring. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, yeah. No, I figured out what the problem was. Okay, so we should be good to go now, audio wise. Okay. So, first thing you can do, easy way to master your money, take advantage of automating things. Um, and some of it, I think we talked about this when Rashida was on the channel a couple of weeks ago. You can, of course, do like an automated transfer from one bank account to another bank account, but you know that there are apps out there that will do it for you. We talked about like Digit, where they analyze your spending and they kind of take it's like micro saving. They take out small amounts and put them into a separate account. Acorns does that, and then you can use that money to invest. It kind of pays you without you having to think of it. Capital, instead of with a C, it starts with a Q. That's another one like that. So, um, automation can be things that you set up, or you can take advantage of tools that will help do that for you. Um, I always hesitate recommending tools because that's something like setting up automation for your savings. I don't think you should pay for that. And so, like, I used to use Digit until they started charging for it. Like, I wasn't getting the benefit. I didn't need it in that way that I was willing to pay for it. And I don't believe in paying for the privilege for something like that. Okay. All right. So that's one thing. Um, Something else that you can do is you're probably aware of this, but maybe you haven't done this in a minute. It is to review your credit report. Now, I have gone on record as officially saying previously that, I don't think your credit score is not the be all and end all of things. However, something very easy, low cost that you can do is get a copy of your credit report. You are entitled to a free credit report um, every year from each of the three major credit bureaus: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. You can request one credit report from each of them, and they each have separate files. So, and hell, they might even all each have a separate credit score for you. But really, what's important here is we're wanting to make sure that there's nothing on that credit report that's going to come back and bite you in the ass later on. So, like that, there is not incorrect information on there, that you're not being dinged for things that are not yours. Um, you know, that's really it. And to make sure that, like there's no identity fraud kinds of things happening. Again, you should not be paying for access to your credit report. You get one free one a year from each of the three credit bureaus. You do have to request them separately. As far as I know, there is not a single place that you can go and get them all from all three credit reporting bureaus. Okay. Alrighty. So that's a very, very simple, easy thing that you can do. Okay. This third thing. In a lot of the conversations that I see online about money and finances, I don't see this get mentioned all that often. Um, and that's calculating your net worth, knowing what your net worth is. Your net worth gives you a snapshot of your financial situation. To figure out your net worth, um, you take your assets and subtract your liabilities. Your assets are the things that have value, like the money in your bank account. Some people include the money in their investment accounts, the value of the home that you own or are buying it. Um, what other things? Various things that you own, assets that have a value. Um, Aspen Sierra talking about my net worth is definitely negative. All those damn student loans. that is a good possibility that that is true. But often, one of the reasons I want y'all to do this is because folks often think about their financial situation only in terms of, this is how much money I am making. Like I have a good job, I bring home, a 6-figure plus salary, but they don't think about the credit card debt that they're carrying, the outstanding car loans, boat loans, whatever else. And so when you actually calculate your net worth, some people get very surprised and find out that their net worth is negative. Now, again, like I said, that is just a snapshot of where you are now. Ideally, you want your net worth to be positive. And if it is negative, there may be some things you can do to fix that. Now, if it were me calculating my net worth, I would not include them student loans. Because if it were me, I don't think they'd ever be getting that money from me. But, everybody can do this the way they want. Um, Again, assets minus liabilities. And this isn't something you want to do just one time. You don't want to just calculate it and be like, oh, okay, today I'm worth $10,000. Today I'm worth $157,000, whatever it is. You want to continue to track it, because if you're going to master your money, you want to be able to see the progress, and you want, hopefully, that progress to be going in a positive direction. Okay. Um, Talking about, I thought about it, but I tried not to. I think it is a good experience to go through calculating it. Now, this can be, you sit down with a pen and paper and you list out all of the assets that you have and all of the liabilities, including that credit card debt. Because too many folks, y'all know this is a soapbox thing for me. Too many folks accept credit card debt and carrying it just like as a everyday thing, like everybody has that. That's a liability, and it is, you know, a drag on your overall net worth. So I think it is very helpful to calculate your net worth and to track it over time. Now, you can do that easily with a spreadsheet. If you open like Microsoft Excel and you go into the templates, you can put net worth, and there are a variety of them there. Um, Again, here's another free tool that does it, but I will tell you about it with a caveat. What is the thing called? Personal Capital. Personal Capital will let you kind of pull together all of your different assets and liabilities, and it will calculate your net worth. People who are like paying down student loan debt, paying down credit card debt, paying off their car, they like to see, be able to look at a glance and see the progress that they are making. And Personal Capital is a good tool for that. It'll give you a dashboard. You get a one glance at your entire financial life. You'll be able to see the impact that your debt is having on your overall wealth. You can see how your investments are performing. But here's my caveat: if you want to check out Personal Capital, and I don't even have a affiliate link. I know that they do have an affiliate program with a lot of like financial content creators. Here's the thing: it is free, but it's kind of like Credit Karma in that they what do you call it? They're going to try to sell you other things. Like, they provide this free thing, but Remember, y'all, nobody does anything out of the kindness of their heart. So they've got to make money somewhere. So, what supposedly the things that they try and sell you are based off of your financial needs or what have you. And so, I feel a kind of way about suggesting something that has that element to it. Me personally, I'm more in line with I'll just do it on a spreadsheet, or if you use something like Mint, they you have the ability to track net worth there. Um, on my Fidelity account, I can actually track net worth. They have a widget or a page or what have you, and you can set it up so that when you log into your Fidelity account, that's the first thing you see is like, oh, here's a breakdown of everything, um, and how that's gone. Um, and again, Credit Karma has a similar kind of setup. It's free, but then you get served targeted advertisements. So, mm, yeah, I don't really like that sort of thing. And I see y'all's questions. You're dropping them in the chat. Please continue to do that. Um, okay, there were a few questions. F Doctor had a question. Is good debt a thing? I ain't trying to owe nobody nothing. I don't want to be a slave to the debt. Okay. Supposedly, good debt is debt that makes you money or that increases your net worth. So buying a home is often considered good debt because you're buying an asset that typically goes up in value. Now, if you're one of those people who bought a house, I don't know, year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when people were paying ridiculous amounts of money over asking, I don't know if that debt is going to be good debt or not. But generally, so student loans often get lumped into that category of good debt because, in theory, you take on the debt, you get an education, and that education is going to help you earn money, therefore, increasing your net worth. So student loans are often considered good debt, but I got issue with that because the way student loans are set up in the United States, they are incredibly predatory. And I am not going to fix my mouth to tell somebody that predatory student loans are a good way to go. So no. Uh, if you take out debt to grow your business, to scale your business, that would be considered good debt. I tend not to try and lump debt into good or bad categories. I want you all to look at debt strategically. Like the debt needs to have a purpose. You need to have a strategy as you are acquiring the debt. You need to have a strategy about how you're going to get rid of the debt. Debt for the sake of debt? No, well, we don't do that over here. I just want y'all to be strategic about it. Let's see. Okay. This is a comment, not a question. Experian offers all three for a fee. I have an Experian membership. I don't like paying for things that should be free. But if you're okay, and sometimes we got to pay for convenience. So that's the trade-off. You can get them all free if you approach each of the credit bureaus separately, or MT says you can pay Experian and they will get all three of them for you. But again, I don't like paying for things that should be free. Okay, one other debt question. ASMR with DAR? As far as paying off debt, do you recommend snowball or avalanche method? I I recommend the vibes method. Which one feels good to you? Which one are the vibes on for? Um, it doesn't matter. It's six in one hand, half a dozen in another. It really comes down to which one uh, is in sync and in alignment with who you are as a person. There are some people who need to see, like, they need that immediate victory. So paying off, doing the snowball, starting with the small one, pay that one off, then roll that into the next. For them, they need that victory of that first initial one paid off. Other people are like, no, I need to get rid of the biggest one first. That works for them. I was somebody who, like, I looked at which one am I paying the most interest on? Which one is actually costing me the most money? So you have to figure out your own, like, psychology around debt, and then pick the method that's best for you. That's my opinion about that. Um, that's my opinion about that. Okay. Let's hide that. As long as you are somebody who can, like, that, hey, I'm using this free thing and they're going to serve these targeted things toward me, that's fine. But some people, the little ad pops up and they're like, oh, well, what is this? I guess I'm kind of like a skeptic. And so it's something that I can take advantage of your free product and completely ignore those things, but some people can't, and that's a weak spot for them. So I wouldn't want to recommend those kinds of things to someone who might get pulled into that. And I'm not saying what they are targeting you is bad, but I just don't like being sold to. So that's my opinion. That's my hot take on that. So we talked about automation. We talked about requesting your credit reports so that you can make sure that there's nothing funny on there that's not supposed to be there. We talked about why you should be calculating your net worth and tracking that if you want to be in control of your money, you got to know how much there is or how much there isn't, and be able to see, okay, this is where we're going. And so that, of course, leads to the next thing is you should be tracking your spending. Now, that is different than you should have a budget. I'm actually fairly anti-budget, and I should have thought ahead and pull the link to my video about why you don't need a budget. Let me see if I can do that right now. So tracking your spending and budgeting, those are two different things. I do not believe everybody needs to have a budget. Okay, here we go. Let me do this first and then talk, because trying to do this and talk is not going well for me. Okay. Why you, oops, don't need a budget. And I will add this to the, I just dropped a link to that YouTube video in the chat, and I will put that in the description of this video in case you're watching it on the replay. Like I said, budgeting and tracking your spending are two different things. And I'm of the mindset that not everybody needs a budget. But everybody does need to know where their money is going. Because if you're trying to master your finances and make moves and make plans, you need to know how much money there is, which is the net worth conversation. And then where am I spending it? And then, that inherently leads to the conversation of, is how I'm spending that money, is that aligned with the way I want to be living my life and aligned with the things I want to be doing? Okay. So, tracking your spending. Again, you don't need anything special to do that. You can keep track of, how you spend money every day. Like every time you buy something, write it down. Uh, or you can use an app. I know a lot of people use Mint. It is free. Of course, they try and get you to, they're going to serve you targeted ads. Um, I use Toshal Finance, and I will put that. Ooh, where am I going to put that? I'm going to put that here. Toshal Finance. I have mentioned this before. Toshal Finance is the name of the app that I use to track spending. There are budgeting features if you're like, girl, I don't care what you're saying. I really do need a budget. But the reason I like Tasha Finance is because I can track my spending in multiple currencies. So when I am traveling from one country to another, and I've got like 5 receipts from 5 different currencies, I can track that. And you pick your home currency. So because my bank accounts, the vast majority of them are in USD, that's what it's set to. But all I have to do is put in like, oh, I just paid my internet bill. That was 500 Mexican pesos. I can put that in. It does the conversion for me based on what the exchange rate was that day. You want to know where your money is going before you can make any decisions about, are you spending it in the places that you should be? Can you afford to do XYZ? You need to see where your money is going. So some way, shape, or form, you should be tracking. Oops, wrong button. You should be tracking your finances. Mint is good. Like I said, I use Tasha Finance. There are Good Budget is another one, especially if you want to use like the envelope system. There's a ton of apps out there. Or you can, if you are a spreadsheet diva, go for it. Get your Excel on. I like having it on my phone. That way, right when I make a purchase, I can immediately open the app and do what I need to track what I have spent. Tashel, at the end of each month, they send me an email because I didn't set up a budget, but what I did set up was like, this is how much I would like to spend a month. And so Tasha sends me an email and they are like, oh, you did great. But most of the time they're like, ooh, you're cutting it close, or you're going crazy, or that sort of thing. Yeah. So I have been using Tasha since, I think, 2017. And again, I'm using the free version. If you want more robust features, there is a paid version. I use the free version. Okay. Okay, I track on my phone with a Google Sheet. How do you spell Tashel? Tashel is spelled like this. Tashel Finance. They have the app. They also, you can do it on a computer as well. So like if you're like, oh, I don't want to be like, I've got this stack of receipts and I don't want to sit on my phone trying to put that in, you can log into the website and you can input the information there as well. It lets you, now, if you want to do budgeting and all of that kind of stuff, you can do that with it. I don't, because I've already told y'all I'm not the budget girl. Let's see. I have a budget in my notes app. I tend to manually put in numbers. And hey, there is nothing wrong with that. It's about doing what works for you. Because again, that comes back to the psychology of money. It doesn't make sense. since we're at the beginning of a new year and people are trying to form new habits and they're making resolutions and all that kind of stuff, you know, it doesn't make sense to say, I'm going to do all of these things that really go against who you are as a person. If you are not somebody who tracking your spending electronically really jibes with who you are, well, then it's kind of dumb to attempt to do that. If pen and paper or an Excel or just kind of manually doing it works for you, go for it. That's going to be my answer more often than not, is to do what works for you as long as you do something. As long as you do something. Okay. Seeing if there were any more questions in here. Excuse me, y'all. Okay. All right. So I budget. I also track my spending after I realized I was spending a lot of money on Starbucks and eating out. And that's the thing, Tiffany. You wouldn't know that you were spending too much or more than you wanted to on the Starbucks and eating out if you did not track your spending. So, again, if you are somebody who like manually entering what you spend is not you like Mint, Toshel, these various other apps, you can connect the credit card, the bank account, whatever you're using, so that it puts those transactions in there automatically. I am the opposite of that. If it does the transactions automatically, like that means nothing to me. I need to go through the process of manually uh, entering each of my transactions. Okay, F Doctor. I was introduced to Fetch in November. I didn't know that it kept track of the spending for you. I knew about the earning points thing, but I did not know that it did that. So that's good to know. That's good to know. All right. We talked about so far, everything we've talked about has kind of been like on you, things you can control. The next thing on my list, this might not seem super obvious, but one of the things, a very easy thing that you can do to like take that step toward taking control of your finances, especially if after tracking your spending and calculating your net worth, you determine that you're expensive and you don't make enough money to afford yourself, you should research your salary. You should research your salary. You get paid what you get paid to do your job. But do you know if that's the industry standard? Like if you've been doing that job 10 years, do you know what they're paying people with who you got the job 10 years ago and you had a feel maybe for what you should have been paid then, but are you still on top of that? Do you still have a good sense of what somebody with your experience in that position should be paid? Because one of the things that people are often very critical of the financial, what do we call this? Financial education, financial literacy folks, is when it comes to women, a lot of times the conversation is about how to save money, do these things to cut back. The conversation rarely focuses on how to make more money. And one of the things that we know, because we attended the Exodus Summit of 2022, which was all about making money. And one of the things we know is the easiest way to increase your pay is when you switch employers. And before you do that, you need to have an understanding of what you should be being paid. So, doesn't take a whole lot of work on your part um, to do a little bit of research, find out what you should be making, and where can you find that out, y'all? Where can you find out salary information? I was told that you could go to like glassdoor.com to find salary information. And then I was told that the salary info on Glassdoor is trash. So if anybody here has ever used Glassdoor, would love to hear from you as to whether or not that is an accurate description of the salary content there. Um, yeah, don't leave no money on the table. But in order for you to do that, you got to, and see, we often don't think about like how much a job pays, how much it should pay, all of that kind of stuff until we are in the heat of like looking for a new job. And what I'm telling you is, um, do that now. Like that should be kind of an ongoing thing, having a good bead on what you should be being paid. Are you being paid appropriately so that you know, like, oh, okay, it's time for me to go. Uh, Supposedly, you can find salary information on glassdoor.com, salary.com, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. I don't know how up to date, like fast changing their information is because it is a government entity, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But okay, MT says that for them, Glassdoor was accurate. Okay, good to know. Uh, this is something else I was going to say too, Britt. There are certain states, I believe New York is also one of them, Colorado is another, where laws have been passed that when they post a job, they have to disclose what the salary is or a salary range or something like that. So if you happen to live, let's say in Texas, but you want to know how much do front end developers make, look for front end developer jobs in Colorado where the salary would be posted. Okay. Now FDM says guess on the come up series said Glassdoor is unreliable. They mentioned another site. Okay. I was told about this site. Here, I'll put it up on the screen. What's the salary.com? That you drop, I think you drop the URL of the position and they give you the salary information. So try that as well. Also, talk to people, network. Now, ideally you work in a situation where you can like ask people, but the capitalism has trained people not to talk about how much money they make. So it might be difficult to get the people you work with to be forthcoming, but there are online communities like one that I am a part of on Facebook, Women's Personal Finance. And good Lord, I think there's 60,000, 100,000 women in there. And folks will be like, I'm applying for this job. These are my qualifications. How much should I ask for? And the other ladies chime in and they're like, oh, well, I do that. And this is how much I make. So if you can't ask the people that you work with, find people who do the thing online and ask them. We're definitely trying to work toward more salary transparency. So you're good, Russ. Got some good laws passed on workers' right. Pay equity in Colorado. Florida is one of the states where salaries for government jobs. Yeah. When I taught, my salary was listed on the school district website. So it had to be disclosed. So, but yeah, Have a current idea of what you should be making. And that way you can make a decision about whether it's time to go elsewhere, because going elsewhere is one of the easiest ways to increase your salary. And as women, we don't hear that enough. So I wanted to make sure I told y'all tonight about that. Let's see. Oh, okay. Uh Something else that you can do super easy is find out your interest rates. So, and by that I mean, how much are you paying in interest on your debts, whether that is credit card debt, your mortgage rate, your personal loan, your student loans. There's so many times, y'all, I talk to clients, and we're trying to figure out what moves should they make financially. Should they pay this off? Should they do this? And my question to them is, well, what's the interest rate? And over again, they don't know the answer to that question. And the thing about it is your interest rate is what to it's costing you that every month, every year. So do yourself a favor and find out what that is, because I think you might be surprised and you might figure out that, oh, I need to consolidate this. Because you can call, at least with credit cards, consumer debts. I don't know that you can do this. I don't think you can do this with mortgages and car notes. But with consumer debt, you can negotiate your interest rates. Um, and so it's always worth a try. What's the worst they're going to tell you? No. And that doesn't hurt you one way or the other. So when I say find out your interest rates, I mean the interest that you are paying on your debt, but also the interest that you are earning on your savings accounts, because we've been told ad nauseum, make sure you save your money, put your money away, make sure you save. Well, let's say you started with a savings account at your bank. You've not been paying attention. And here it is, you've got 10, 15 grand sitting in that savings account, and you're earning 0.01% interest, when the going interest rate right now is in excess of 3.5%. So, very easy to do, but very important to know, what are your interest rates? And there is actually a slew of other questions you should ask. This is another video I did that I forgot to link in the description, but I will once the live is over. Okay, these are money questions you need. All right. All right, so I dropped this in the chat, in the live chat. But if you're watching this on the replay, I'll put this in the description as well. I went through a whole slew of different financial scenarios, and these are questions that you should be asking. That some of them you think to ask, some of them you don't. Yes, Halisi from our Black Utopia. I'm getting a couple of hundred per month in interest in my savings. Yes, I had a client on Monday who we discovered their interest rate was far below 1%. It was some fraction of 1%. And they had a sizable chunk of money sitting there. And when I told them that, like, if you're not earning in excess of 3.5%, you need to move that somewhere else. Why leave money on the table? As F Doctor said earlier, we're not leaving money on the table. So definitely you want to double check that. Okay. So we said find out your interest rates. What are you paying in interest on your various loans. And remember, credit cards are loans. And what are you earning on your various savings accounts? If you've got CDs, money market accounts, any of those interest uh, earning accounts, find out what you are earning, and then do a quick Google to see uh, what the going rates are, because that could be free money that you're letting get away from you. All right. Um, do we know what this is? Oh, okay. Before I go there, let me answer Melissa's question. Which banks give you 3.5%? I have an account at Ally, and I think it's like at 365%. But let me tell y'all where to go. Doctor of Credit. Hold on. I'm grabbing the link right now. And again, if you're not here live, I will put this in the description. All right. Charles Schwab is paying in excess of 3.5%. What kind of account at Charles Schwab is paying that? Because I know it's not a cash management account. Okay. To find out who is paying that, go to doctorofcredit.com. Doctorofcredit.com. They, under bank accounts, they keep an ongoing list of high yield savings accounts, all of the different offers, and they update it. I believe daily. If not daily, it is weekly. And they start with who's paying the highest down to the lowest, and they'll tell you, are there like minimum deposits required? Do you have to have direct deposits? Whatever the little catch is. If there is a limit on how much they will, like, there's some banks right now that are paying like 6-7%, but they'll only pay 6 or 7%, let's say on the first $2,000. So maybe you drop $2,000 there, and then you take a chunk of your money and you put it somewhere else. There are people who do try and game the system and chase rates. Y'all know, I'm going to default and go toward ease. So as long as I keep getting those emails from Ally every time they bump the rate up, I'm cool. I don't have to chase interest rates. Okay. Y'all are having a conversation over here in the chat, and I think I missed something. What's going on with Black Hannah? Okay. All right. Okay. Was there some identity theft that happened? Gotcha. Okay. So, answer the question about where you can find out who's running what kinds of deals right now. I'm glad that I helped you with that problem. Okay, Melanie says that I negotiated a rate decrease on a credit card, asked for it based on my credit and payment history. Just make sure to ask if it requires a hard or soft pull on your credit report. Yes, because as maybe we talked about it here, I don't know, but if they do a hard pull, because this is why credit scores are one of the reasons credit scores are a scam. If they do a hard pull, that often will lower your credit score. It's stupid, but we'll bash them on that a little bit later. Okay. Marcus by Goldman Sachs is at 3.3%. I know SoFi is probably on that list. Okay. So we talked about interest rates, what you're paying, what you're earning. Okay. I was going to ask, do we know two-factor authentication? Do you know it? Do you use it? two-factor authentication, I will be 100% honest with y'all. I always found two-factor authentication to be a pain in the ass. Like, just let me log into my account. Don't make me have to verify it's me by sending a code or having to call and this, that, and the other thing. I felt that way until one of the financial groups I'm in, this woman posted that 95% of her Roth IRA and her brokerage account had been liquidated because somebody hacked into it, sold off almost all of her stuff. Then they attempted to open like a cash management account because this was with M1. Which is like, it's a brokerage like Charles Schwab, like Fidelity. They had tried to open up, I guess, basically a cash management account at M1 to transfer the money there so that they could then transfer it away. And she had no idea. Now, think about the implications of one, her money almost being completely gone. Like, had this person gotten away with it? But also, two, so like, I don't remember, she didn't disclose how she found it out. I don't know if because it was such a massive liquidation that M1 reached out and was like, "Hey, what's up with this?" But when she found out, oh, that's what it was. They froze when the person liquidated her stuff and tried to transfer the funds into this other account. They froze that account till they could talk to her, and that's when she finds out. Now, this is the downside. In her brokerage account, because things were sold and they were sold at a gain, she's going to have to pay capital gains tax on all of those gains for everything that was sold. So, like, to add insult to injury, like the stuff in her Roth she hadn't planned on selling for years and years and years, she could rebuy those things, but then being slapped with a tax bill on top of it. So, once I heard, like, it never occurred to me, and I don't know why it hadn't, that uh like, yeah, somebody could hack your brokerage account and take all of your money. Once I heard this woman's story, I was on the phone with Fidelity immediately setting up two-factor authentication. So, an easy thing that you really, really should do for all of your financial accounts, all of your like trading, brokerage, um, checking, savings, your PayPal, anything that is tied to money of yours. Turn on two-factor authentication. It is a pain in the butt. It is not foolproof, but baby, it is better than not doing anything. Uh, uh, no, D, she could not get a pass because it was theft. No. And that's extra janky because it's like I wasn't the person who sold that stuff, but I guess it's like one of those things, the transaction happened and it can't unhappen. um so yeah, no, she did not get a pass. And yes, um PayPal is another one, especially folks who like to leave money sitting in their PayPal, uh and then turn around and all that money is gone. And depending when you find out, you're gonna have a hard time getting any of it back. Um, Now, I will say this is that if you set up two-factor authentication, but the password to the account that they've hacked is the same password to the email account that it's connected to, you're not doing anybody any good. So your you I I used to do a lot of technology stuff in some of my old jobs. So of course you're supposed to have a different password for everything, but I know how people are and they don't. I would just encourage you to make sure that the email password is at least different than like the financial account password. Because if not, you may just be shooting yourself in the foot there. So, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, hopefully she will, but like I said, it had never occurred to me before that that something like that could even happen. So, I am sharing it with y'all so that now you know, and forewarned is forearmed. I gotta sneeze. Maybe, maybe. Okay. All right. Let's see if there are any more questions because I got about another two or three things on my list. Okay. I think Anita's question is about like them doing a hard pull, soft pull. Why does that matter? It doesn't really. If okay, let's say you're trying to persuade the credit card company to lower your interest rate based off of your current credit worthiness, having a lower credit score impacts that. So if I'm in the process of using the credit, I don't want to do something that is going to lower a credit score. So then a hard pull would be a problem. If I'm just out living my life and I do not anticipate trying to get a loan in the immediate future, I am not going to stress about a hard pull and a ding of a few points on my credit score. Credit scores are really only important when you are actively trying to get new credit, you are actively applying for new debt, and then in some professions, you won't be aware of it, but they require that you have a credit score of a certain number. And so if you happen to be applying for that job at the same time you're doing something that's lowering your credit score, like applying for credit, that could be a thing. But on the day-to-day basis, your credit score doesn't mean anything. It's not important at all, in my opinion. Uh, do you suggest if one has moved abroad to freeze your credit in the States? As a matter of fact, I do. And who was it? Black Hannah just mentioned the video in which I mentioned that, along with 9 other money moves you should make before you move abroad. I shared this video actually today in the Exodus Summit group. Here. And again, I will put this in the description for those of you who are watching this on the replay. Just making myself a note to remember to do that. But yes, I do recommend, because again, your credit in the US is not going to follow you when you live outside the US, but you do want to like protect it in case there is some reason why you need to use it again in the US. And the way to preserve that is to go ahead and put a credit freeze, which should not cost you any money at all. I talk about it in that video. So yes. Adelia, did you ever struggle with a tendency many of us have with looking like you have money? I grew up poor and now I make a great salary. And I used to struggle with that mentally before I became debt free. I think I was poor for too long. This is something I've thought about. To answer your question, no. This is not like I never struggled with like, oh, I want to look like I have money. I just tried not to look I tried to find ways around being poor. Like my mother would not buy like name brand tennis shoes or things like that. So like I was thinking about this the other day. My hack was like to buy tennis shoes at Academy because they were cheaper than they were at like Foot Locker and places like that. Uh, I would buy, so like everybody's getting like Jordans and that kind of stuff. I was never going to be able to afford those. So instead of that, I would get K Swiss because that was a much more affordable shoe, but it was still a cool shoe. And then as an adult, I guess because I was wearing like no name and off brand stuff forever, I just was like, eh, I'll spend my money elsewhere. But I know that is something that a lot of folks do, especially because in the US, the system conditions people to assign a value to you by those exterior things, like do you wear the right clothes, the right brands and all of that. So we've been conditioned that our value is connected to that, so it's natural to feel that way. For some reason, I'm not really sure why. I guess because I was never gonna have money, I became a school teacher. So I was never going to be able to afford the things that would make me look like I had money. So for whatever reason, that I didn't fall into that. But yeah. Um what is it? Black Hannah says if you haven't seen the 10 Money Moves video, she highly recommends it. Um yeah. Those are I in the long run, if you're and I assume if you're here watching this channel, you're probably either going to travel substantially or you are thinking about moving outside the US. And in that video, I talk about things that just are going to make your life easier in the long run. Um, you know, it's like, okay, another one, kids. Do y'all remember kids? I'm probably dating myself here. I went to Catholic school for a substantial part of my life, so we had to wear uniforms. And so, how you showed your wealth, I guess, was the tennis shoe choice. Um, and and we had rules about what color shoes we could wear. So uh the girls had to wear white shoes and the folks with money would wear kids. And my mother was not spending kid money. So we used to call them white girls. They look like kids that they sold like at Walgreens for like $3 a pair or whatever. And that's y'all are making like memories come back to me, things I hadn't thought about in a long time. So yeah, when I got a little money, I was like, oh, okay, the K Swiss are acceptable shoes, where I don't have to try and I can't compete. And I think that was the thing for me. I could not compete. And so I stopped trying to compete. And now that I've said that out loud, I think that might have some greater application to my life as a whole about like why I'm the way I am. So yeah. And yeah, Tamara, we cannot ignore the fact that especially and there are historical reasons why that conditioning is so prominent in the Black community. Um, with segregation and all of the avenues we were denied. And, there are lots of historical reasons for that. So, yeah. Yeah, y'all, I wanted a pair of kids and that just was not happening. So it was me and them 3.99 specials from Walgreens. Okay. Okay, so sometimes y'all make fun of my Texas-ism, so I'm glad to know I'm not the only person that called them white girls. Oh, Payless. I used to be up as a Payless too. Oh gosh, this is where my love of Target comes from because like I could buy things that were affordable in Target but not look like it, but like shopping at Kmart, that was a whole different thing. That was a whole different thing. Okay. Seeing if there are any other questions in here. Um okay. Okay. I'll answer this one before we wrap up. Um, Letitia Wilson asked about how do you feel about the cash envelope system? I like it. There's a reason why the envelope system has persisted because it works. Now, in this day and age we live in, where electronic payments are preferred and just so much easier. Um, it is a little harder to do. One of the things I've noticed being back in the US in December and in November were how many places were cashless, cash free, which there's a way you can look at that where it's very, very discriminatory. But uh, the envelope system has persisted for, you know, like our grandmothers. That's what the system they used. I like it. It works. I tried to do it when I was married. It doesn't work if the other person doesn't do it, but I like that a lot. I think it's a I'm about ease and simplicity, and it is very much an easy, simple way to really take control of your spending and track it and very much see every time you're taking money out of that envelope. And when there's no more money in that envelope, there's you can't buy that anymore. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Somebody was just talking about this the other day that Champion was a brand at Payless, and now these kids today are acting like it's like a name brand thing. It's wild. But that also goes to show you how so much of that just doesn't mean anything. A lot of that stuff was made in all in the same factory. It's just about what labels get put where. Oh, y'all are reminiscing about some shoes. Oh my gosh. I had a pair of salmon. I wanted the flats with the bow, but again, I was too poor for that. But I really wanted some. Okay. All right. Okay. So, the last, oh, two more things on my list. Um, this isn't something that I think we think about a whole lot, or maybe we do. I don't know. Y'all can tell me. Use inconvenience to help you achieve like your spending or savings goals, whatever those are. Um, in the old days, if you had a problem with your credit card spending, the advice used to be freeze them, put them in some Tupperware, fill it with water, freeze your credit cards. That way, when you got sucked into an impulsive urge to spend money that you shouldn't, you would have to, you would be inconvenienced. And it would be about like, how much work is it going to take for me to get my credit card out of this block of ice? Well, the world we live in now, your credit cards are probably saved to your account for the various websites that you buy from all the time. So I would say the new version of that is not to save your credit card information. That way, anytime you get ready to make a payment, I mean, like to buy something, you have to physically get up, go get the credit card, and input the information. And I don't know about y'all, but there have been times literally I'm on the couch and the credit card is over there and I'm not getting up to go get it. Also, from a security standpoint, um, this is another way that the hackers are getting people is if they can hack your account and you've got your credit card numbers, credit card information saved in that account, they now have that information and can then use it to do a whole host of everything. So I think there's a twofold reason not to save your credit cards uh, any of the websites that you're using to buy things. Absolutely, Tamara, you're right. Capitalism wants to make spending easier for you, more money for them. Absolutely. You are absolutely right. It does not serve us. It serves the system. So, um, so I would say make inconvenience work for you. Another way to do that, I've done this before, is you're trying to save for a goal, but maybe you're one of those people that like you will pull the money out of the savings account, open a bank account online that doesn't have any branches, physical branches that you can go to and pull the money out, and then don't get the ATM card for it. And this is not so let's say your main bank where your checking and all that is. I'm not saying open a savings account there because transferring money between those two is instantaneously. Open a savings account in a completely different bank. That way, when you want to transfer money back into your checking account to spend it because you have no ATM card, so you can't get access that way. There are no physical branches. You can't get access that way. Um, it's going to take a couple of days, and hopefully, the inconvenience of that will prevent you from spending the money that you did not mean to spend. You know. Uh, if you find that there are certain apps that you are prone to use, like Grubhub and DoorDash, and they are becoming problematic, delete them from your phone. Again, make it inconvenient. So that way, if you are like, but girl, I need that shrimp po' boy tonight, that means you got to reinstall the app. You've got to manually input your credit card information. Hopefully, that inconvenience will prevent you from making a purchase that you did not intend to. Something else that I have done. Okay, see, so Sarah knows what I'm talking about. I don't have an ATM card from my Ally account. Those funds are relatively safe. Exactly. You can still, like, if there was an emergency, you can still tap that money. It's just going to take some time. But the impulsive stuff, this will, using inconvenience, will help you with the impulsive things. High Vibe deleted the Starbucks app. I have deleted food delivery apps because that seems to be my problem because I don't want to cook. And I don't know if people still do this, but your credit cards will give you a PIN number so that you can use the credit card at the ATM machine and get a cash advance. Are people still getting cash advances? Because you really shouldn't do that. The interest rates on those are ridiculous. But I have always made it a rule never to, usually you have to request a PIN number for your credit card. I've always made it a rule, like I never request those. Or if they send it in the mail, I shred it and keep on moving. As far as I'm concerned, my credit cards don't have that ability to them. So that's what I mean when I say use inconvenience to, help you with the behavior that you want to encourage. I've saved so much money by unsubscribing from retailers. That's the other thing I've done too. I don't get those emails in my inbox anymore, and so I'm less inclined to get sucked into that. Uh, I'm not telling anybody not to spend money that they've planned. That's part of the greater financial thing that they're trying to do, but it's the impulsive things that get us off track and keep us from achieving the goals that we have. Okay. Um, okay. And the last thing, the last fairly easy way I think you can have a great impact on, mastering your money, taking control of your finances, is to set up your buckets or your sinking funds. Um, Y'all have heard me talk about my Ally account. One of the reasons I have a checking account at Ally is it has this cool feature that lets you divide that single account into up to 10 different buckets. Way back in the day, we like if you had like I'm trying to save for a vacation, I'm trying to save for this, I'm trying to save for that, the popular suggestion was open a separate savings account for that, so that that money goes over there and it's not commingled with this other money so that you can easily track your progress toward that goal. I am about ease. Keeping track of 10 separate bank accounts, that's not ease. That's why I love the Ally checking account because it lets you set up those different buckets. Now, what that basically is creating sinking funds. Sinking. That's the like financial terms for these separate pots of money that are for upcoming expenses, like you're planning ahead. Aspen Sierra says that SoFi calls them vaults. Okay, doesn't matter what the name is, but I think this has also been a big thing for me, especially because I don't budget. Um, Now, when I say sinking funds, like what kinds of things are these? Y'all have heard me talk about FU money. Y'all have heard me talk about oh shit money, like your emergency fund. Like you need to always be putting money away in your investments or what have you for your FU money so that you can walk away from situations and people who no longer serve you. Your oh shit money, where like I've landed in this country and this is not the move. I got to get up out of here. I moved in with this man, this woman, and they are not who I thought they were. I need to get up out of here, whatever the situation is. Y'all have heard me talk about FU money. You heard me talk about oh shit money. I've even talked to y'all about hell yeah money. That's that money. So you stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Your girls call you up on a Friday and they're like, hey, let's hit Vegas tonight. You can say hell yeah because you got the money. Okay. That is a form of sinking funds. That's a form of like having your buckets, but also um, future expenses, things that you know are going to come up. You have a house with a 25-year-old roof. Hopefully, you're putting a little bit of money away because you know you're going to have to replace that roof. Um, you can also use this as sort of sort of like a self-insurance thing. Instead of, let's say, like I was always one to drive a older, high mileage, low value car, right? That's the kind of car where paying for full coverage insurance really doesn't make financial sense. But what happens if I'm in an accident and I need to replace a car? So I basically self-insured. I every month put a certain amount of money to the side in case there was an accident or something happened to the car and I needed to replace it. So you can use sinking funds in that way. You can use it to self-insure. Um, a lot of people do that when they pay a car off. because when you have a lien on a car, you have to have full coverage, comprehension and collision. You have to have full coverage. But when the car is paid for cash outright, here's the thing. You can pay the money to the insurance company. And if nothing happens, the insurance company keeps your money, right? Let's say you're a super safe driver. Nothing ever happens. If you're self-insuring that fully paid off car, you've got that money sitting there, which could be in a high yield savings account. It could be in a CD, what have you, earning a little bit of money for you. So that's one way that you could use a sinking fund. Another way, we just wrapped up the holiday season. There are folks who, if it were not for credit cards, there would not have been any Christmas. There would not have been any Thanksgiving at their house. Okay. And that means in about 2 weeks, they're going to get the bill for Christmas. If you don't want that to be you next year, set up a Christmas bucket, a sinking fund for Christmas 2023. Figure out what it is you want to spend on Christmas. Divide that by 12. That's how much you're going to put in that bucket every month. Divided by 24, that's how much you're going to put in that bucket for out of every paycheck. That way, when it comes time to start shopping for Christmas, it's not about, oh, I got to run up this credit card bill. Is there room on this credit card? No, you pay for it. I forgot the word, but you pay for it in cash. And then it's not that big of a deal. You can do that with anything like insurance. You know, your car insurance renews every 6 months. Instead of waiting until you get this big bill, how about you set aside a little bit out of every paycheck in the car insurance bucket? You can do that for birthdays, property taxes. I mean, for those of you that have your property taxes escrowed and they are part of your mortgage payment, that's exactly what they're doing. If you once I figured that out, I started doing that myself. I self escrowed, put that money to the side. Travel fund, absolutely. This is why I don't really even I don't think too hard about like, oh, I got to save for this trip, because travel fund, that's like one of the first things that comes off the top of my paycheck, is setting money aside so that I can travel, so that when the opportunity presents itself, I don't have to think about how am I going to pay this? Oh, is there a payment plan? I've already prepared my own payment plan. Okay. So, and that also works for your IRA. You know, those of you who are fortunate enough to work someplace that has a 401k program, that money comes out pre-tax, comes out of your check before you ever get it. But if you're somebody like me who did not have that, and like you have a traditional IRA, you have a Roth IRA, and you want to, for 2022, the maximum contribution was $6,000 unless you were over 50. It was $7,000. For 2023, it will be $6,500 and $7,500 respectively. But maybe it's hard to come up with $6,500 in one chunk. It was for me. So you can set a sinking fund aside for that, just like we were talking about automation when we started this, about having that money set aside automatically. You can already do it that way, because in case you're wondering and you're like, oh crap, I said I was going to open an IRA for 2022 and I didn't do it. You still have time. Remember, you can contribute to the 2022 IRA up until tax day. So you can still do that. Which now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably remind y'all that those of you who have been wanting to open an IRA, start investing for retirement, you kept saying, oh, I know I should be investing. Adelia keeps telling me I should be investing. The Get Started Investing Challenge starts this month in 12 days, I think. I think 12 days. There is a link to that in the description of this video. Pickygirltravels.thinkific.com. I do this challenge a few times a year. The last one we did was in October. I am doing it again this month. So if you have if this is one of your New Year's goals, if this was something you wanted to do last year, here is your opportunity to do that. Let's see. I just saw. So yes, we were talking about sinking funds and buckets. And to make sure that you max out an IRA, that could be one of your buckets. That could be one of your sinking funds. Okay. Tim, buckets have been a lifesaver for me. I have a bucket for my braids. Okay. Box braids are $180. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. If you know, this is, again, this goes with stay ready so you don't have to get ready. If you know you're going to want to buy this thing, go to this event, celebrate this, whatever, why not plan ahead? It makes it so much easier, and it prevents you from ending up in debt that you don't want to have. So I am a big fan of that. Okay, let's see. What questions did we forget? There, as several people mentioned, there are other banks that do this, but this has been one of the reasons that I've stayed with Ally, is because this makes my life easier. Even when you are transferring money over, it prompts you, okay, so what bucket does this money go into? How can one go about self-escrow? It depends on how much equity you have in your house. If you have private mortgage insurance because you could not put down 20%, the mortgage company isn't going to let you do this. But let's say you've got more than 20% equity in the house. You tell them, okay, I'm going to start doing this myself. And but that means when the county sends that property tax bill, when you get the tax bill from the school district and the insurance thing, like that needs to come to you. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they send it to the mortgage company, and then you've got to call and ask and make sure that you pay it. But yeah, it is really about how much equity do you have. If you have less than 20%, it's highly unlikely the mortgage company will let you do that, because think about why they escrow it. It's because they want to make sure that those things get paid, right? So, but yeah, I've done that on 2 houses. I've done that. Uh, I'm glad you're here, Britt. I'm so glad you're here. It depends. Teresa's question is, why have a bucket for your IRA rather than go directly to the IRA? It depends. Some people, they're like, I don't want to do it until I have the whole $6,000, or I have the whole thing, like they want to buy it. I think, you can dollar cost average and just have the money go there automatically. Or you can see your automated things that are going there as a bucket. That could be a way to look at it, especially if you're somebody who does budgets and you want to have that as an item. You could do it that way. Let's see. Okay, so yes, y'all. You can contribute into a IRA up until tax day. And even, like how sometimes April 15th falls on a weekend or there's a holiday, whatever the new tax day is, that is the deadline for contributing to your IRA. Okay. Okay, so MT uses they got an emergency fund is a CD, separate savings for auto maintenance, new car, one for traveling. So yes, buckets, buckets. So I do better. I do far better when money goes from my earning directly into the account other than a checking account. Yes. Okay. I saw a couple of questions about like where should I open an IRA? Blah 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 blah. Okay. I did a video, y'all, on investing. Okay. Simple ways to invest money. And here is the link. These are all on my YouTube channel. Ways to invest. And I talk about IRAs and that sort of thing in there. So I just dropped that link in the description, in the chat. And I'm going to try my best to remember to put that in the description. But if you need more than a video, like I said, the Get Started Investing Challenge will start in about 12 days. Registration is open for that. You can go to, there is a link in the description, or go to pickygirltravels.thinkific.com if you want to register for that. Thoughts on SoFi versus Ally? I think they're both fine. Okay, y'all remember one of my core tenets of how I live my life is about ease and simplicity. One of my core values is simplicity. So I am not going to do things to needlessly complicate my life. It's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in another. Maybe at this moment, SoFi might be offering a slightly higher interest rate. Am I going to pack everything up and run over there? No, because that's more work. There's not a big enough difference to make that worth my while. But if you don't have an account at either one, whichever one you look at it and it makes sense for you, go for it. But my answer is always going to be about what's the simplest way to do this? What's the easiest way? MT, if one has a TSP or 401k, is an IRA necessary? It depends on your goals. This is one of the things that we talk about in the challenge. It really depends on your goal. And there's nothing wrong with having all of them, but it also depends on what's the goal for the money. How are you trying to use it? Tamara, I wish I did have a referral link for Ally. I wish. I have looked previously, they didn't. Y'all will notice that I don't do a lot of like affiliate things because like you're never going to find me giving you an Amazon affiliate link. Like, I'm not putting money in Jeff Bezos's pocket, even if that could put money in my pocket. I can't bring myself to do that. So the few things that I do recommend enthusiastically, apparently none of them have affiliate links. I take that back. I have a couple affiliate links, but I do not, as far as I know, Ally does not have an affiliate program, which there's a way that I look at that as kind of a good thing, because I'm often I don't know if the right word is skeptical or suspicious, but what I've noticed in the financial space, the financial influencer space, is that a lot of financial services that you will hear people like promoting, and they do have an affiliate link, sometimes that those things aren't 100% kosher. So unfortunately, as far as I can tell, Ally does not have a program, which might just add to the fact that, Ally is they're a good company. So far, my experience has been pretty good with them. Okay, so I have given you, I hope at least one or two of those resonates with you, like 9, 10 different ways that are fairly easy, fairly painless ways that you can, you know, take some control of your financial situation. I see a couple of y'all asking about the vision board party on Saturday. It is sold out, so there's no more space, guys. Sorry about that. But stay tuned because there's some announcements coming. So stay tuned uh, about that. And I think that's it for me, guys. I think that's it. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me and talking money on a Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. On a Wednesday night. Odds are I am probably gonna go live on Friday during the day. So yeah, we'll talk again, guys. We'll talk again. Uh okay. There was one question I did see that I wanted to answer before we left, but I'm not seeing it anymore. So sorry. Cheryl. I inherited a lump sum, so I can open more than one IRA. Yes, you can open as many IRAs as you want, but you can only contribute $6,000. Well, today is 2023, $6,500 max if you are under 50. That's across all the accounts. So if you have 10 IRAs, doesn't matter. Total across those 10 accounts, you can only contribute $6,500. If you are over 50, you can contribute $7,500 for 2023. So, okay. All right, y'all. I think that is it for us. Glad y'all came and hung out with me. And I'll probably be seeing you Friday around lunchtime or so. So, yeah. Night, y'all.